Okay, so I'm off to return these to the local library. So I'm just about to leave, and I think I'm gonna return these as well. I'm gonna show you these two, because I don't think I'm gonna be able to read them in time. The only time I can think of maybe having to read them is if the noise in this building gets so intense that I can't work enough or like work from home. But in those cases, or in that case, I would have to, one, maybe find somewhere else to sit and work. Two, I would want to be away from home and outside and walk around, or maybe see friends, or just, I don't think I will take this heavy book and the other one and find somewhere to sit and read it. I can't really see myself doing that. So I'm gonna take those as well. Yeah. I'm back, and it went well to return those books, but I kinda borrowed, a couple. We have this lovely librarian, and we got to talking. I think I stayed for an hour. Did I talk to her for an hour? No, maybe 45 minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes I talked to her. And we got into these discussions about different books, and so I gave her some tips and she gave me some tips, and then she put me on. She ordered some books that I said that I want to read the rest in that series, and that series is Addicted to You by Krista, whatever her name is. And then I think she talked me into joining a book club. Like a physical book club. And yeah, with a bunch of old ladies having like Swedish fika once a month, reading books that this librarian picks for them. I think that is what caught my attention. Because yeah, we'll see how long I do that. I said I won't do it until I'm back from fleeing the city for renovation, so mid-November or something. But now I have to calculate how many books I actually have left. Okay, so now I have 8 books left. Still, I could have had 6, but I have 8 because I had 9, I think, and then I returned, or I finished One of Us is Lying, right? Hence 8. And then I also returned The Prior of the Orange Tea and A Day of Fallen Night. But I also came home with the sequel, One of Us is Next. And I also found this on the shelves, The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And I have been meaning to read this for a long time, ever since I read The Inheritance Games. But it's always been unavailable. So I saw this and I was like, that's probably an easy read if I like it. So these are now the number of days, the number of books, the number of pages I have left. And I'm also gonna, let's see. Yeah, so I have actually unpaused this, A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. And the reason is, I still have a hard time with her kind of anxiety and the way she sees the world, or more like how she interacts with the world, right? Because of her like mental issues, that we don't know if there are mental issues or if she actually sees the world in the right way and everyone else is not, or maybe she's just extra susceptible to the supernatural. We don't know yet. But anyway, I still have a hard time with her, I think her struggle with that. But it is so well written that it's easier to read now than in the beginning, and easier to like flow through. I still, however, will not read it before bed. I will make sure that I either listen to like a meditation or read something else. I haven't read anything else. I have listened to meditations instead in the evenings, after reading a little bit in this one, so I won't have nightmares, because there are some elements of this that are kind of mind-fucking. Yeah. But yeah, I picked it up again, and the writing style is to my liking. It's interesting, I would say. And there's something with it that makes me want to keep going. There's just something pulling me in, so I'm kinda exploring that for as long as I have an interest in it. But yeah, I will get back to you, hopefully when I have finished this one. Yeah. I'm on my way to a friend. We're gonna have a lovely afternoon together. She lives in this lovely house that could be like in the middle of nowhere, but it is actually in this great park area here in Stockholm. And I want to show you a little bit of it, but I just want to wait for some people to pass. So I'm gonna go a bit further on this gravel road, past these lovely little, these are like, we call them kolonilotter. It's basically small buildings like sheds and then gardens, and people can rent them and garden in the middle of the city. We have them like everywhere almost. There are some where I live as well, in 2 different areas. Very popular. Yeah. So, behind these trees, my friend has her house. So, I'm just waiting for the dude who laughed to go about his way. So yeah, you can see the suburbs behind me. And yeah, more of the small like shed-like buildings. I don't really know the rules. I don't know if you are allowed to live in them. I don't think so. It's just supposed to be like for like sheds for gardening and maybe eat. I do think you can like barbecue, that sort of thing. So here is where I'm going. And this area to my left is actually a part of the neighbors. Like the neighbors like land go all around her, I think, and sometimes there's cows here, but not now. So we're going down this dirt road or gravel road, and you can start to see the red house with the white I don't know what you call it, but you can start to see it. And the red fence. So yeah. I don't know if her dog's gonna be out already, greeting me, or not. He's a border terrier. So here you can see where the two more lands. Like hers is the red fence. I think she have a little bit behind the other fence as well, but here the cows usually go. So this fence most close to me are electrical. So yeah. I'm happy to be here. I'm not gonna film too much of her place, so see you later. Okay, so good day. It is a Saturday. It's around noon-ish. I'm doing some chores around the house, and I have laundry today in the laundry room, so going back and forth. And I finished this one. So this book I started in the beginning of this vlog series, and since I'm not discussing it in English anywhere else, I'm gonna do it here, because it is a part of a book club that I have on Fable, and we will have like a virtual meeting in Swedish on the 9th of September, and yeah, so I'm discussing it there in Swedish, but in English I think I'm gonna just tell you a little bit about it. So this book is by Alberto Villoldo. It's a non-fiction. It's like a self-help kind of book. It's about shamanism in South America, or let's see what the title in English is first. The title is One Spirit Medicine, Ancient Ways to Ultimate Wellness, and this is the Swedish cover. So Andens medicin. Uråldrig visdom möter modern neurovetenskap. So Alberto Villoldo has basically lived with like shamans in the South Americas for a long time, and then he is kind of taking their wisdom, but not taking. He has permission to take the wisdom from those shamans or laikas and give it to the rest of the world. And one way he's doing this is in books. So this book focuses on one spirit medicine, which is like a holistic way to heal your body and create a new body that is free of illness and free of you know, like negative behavioral patterns and thought patterns, and like creating a new life for yourself basically. And this book talks about both healing your body first, so it talks about like superfood and fasting and all that sort of thing, like starting with that to kind of cleanse your body, and then going into what you want to change basically. And in the last chapter of the book, Alberto describes step by step what you should think about when wanting to do a vision quest, according to Native Americans from South America, or those that tradition and shamanic tradition. So every time I read one of his books, let's say like this, I've read a few now, and I try to be kind of nice when I rate them and talk about them, review them, and try to do it from a point of isolation. Like if someone were to read only this book, or why should they read only this book if I were to recommend it? So that is because all of the books I've read from Alberto so far have had similar chapters. This book literally had the same chapter about myths and that sort of thing as the last book I read, and I can put the title up here. So some of the things in this book I actually just skimmed over, and one like part of a chapter I completely skipped, or maybe even two in different occasions, because it was the same information. And I understand that that information is kind of the basis of his practice. And I'm thinking, if I were to write different books about runes, I would probably have some, you know, beginner's basic information at the beginning of each book to, you know, to explain to people what world they're entering. So I understand that. But for me it's frustrating, because I want to go, like, if you want to go further in your like education within this area, it can be frustrating, and it is for me, because there's so much of it that is so similar. And I think the only new thing in this book was like that he took all of this knowledge and centered it around the one spirit medicine. Like he had a different intention with this book than with the other books I've read. And this one was maybe, it wasn't less similar to the other books I've read, but it had a more like a clear purpose. But it took a while to really get there. It was like he was throwing things out in the first 4, 5, 7 chapters, and then eventually I was like, oh, okay, now I see where he's going. And the exercises in this book aren't as many as I thought they would be, and they are, except for the vision quest at the end, they are the same as in other books. And I understand that he picked these because they align with the purpose of this book, and it also aligns with probably some kind of education, because he talks about something in this book that he, like, when people come to his clinic, he to help them, he excludes, you know, he tells them to do certain steps. And that is kind of how he treated his book, like a client maybe, but he put more information in it. I don't think he tells everyone all of the things that is in this book, like the myths and the history and that sort of thing. So because of his background, and because it is in the South Americas and that sort of thing that he has been studying shamanism, there's a lot about the conquistadors and you know, the Portuguese coming to that land, and the history behind that. And there's a lot of Catholicism ingrained. Like his books always assume that you have a background of Christianity or Catholicism or something that has like maybe values or thought patterns and generational traumas that you need to break. So that part isn't really, you know, I can't relate to that because I'm from a completely different part of the world, and we have, yeah, sure, we have, you know, Christianity here and that sort of thing, but I haven't really, yeah, I've dug into that. And the traumas that, you know, were generational for me that I have cleared is not the same as he assumes that a reader has. So it's kind of aimed towards Americans, I think. And it's aimed towards a certain audience. And even though he claims to, you know, aim it towards all of the world, basically, he definitely, you know, it is colored by his experiences and his traumas, and of course it is. I'm not, you know, I'm not negating that or anything. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that is why these books, they're never above a 3-star for me, because there's so much in it that isn't, you know, that I don't relate to. And after the first book that I read, in the first book it was kind of interesting, just as a, you know, for context. But after that it was just repetitive, and I just started skimming through some chapters, and I kind of wished that there was a more, like, not condensed version, but maybe a more like thinner version. It's not even thick, but maybe there were like a version of this that were like one spirit medicine, teachings of these shamanic, like as level 2, level 3, that that you could read if you had already read the other ones. Like I wish it was like a staircase of knowledge, and not like he's filling a circle and then in the middle is the new thing, and only in the middle, and you have to go like circles like this. I understand why. It just makes it hard to get through, and it makes it boring. when you've read the first one and then go into the second one and you start the same journey again, it's kind of boring. So I wish there were more like step by step. So I gave this book 3 stars because I did enjoy that it had a different purpose. It had something that was going for it. One thing that was going for it, and I did enjoy the content. It's just that I had read it before, but I can't give it more than a 3 star from my point of view. And as a I can be objective enough and think like, okay, let's see if people read this in a vacuum, would it be a good one? Maybe a 4 star. If you read it in a vacuum, it would probably be a 4 star read, but for me it's a 3 star read. I wouldn't recommend this as the one book from him to read if you wanted to just know things about that culture and that shamanic tradition. However, if your aim is to go an alternative route, and you are willing to work on both body, mind and spirit, soul, to find a new path for yourself, this would probably be a good beginner's book. It doesn't, one good thing I guess with it not having so many shamanic exercises, is that it's not that advanced. So if you're new to shamanism, if you're new to this world, then it doesn't demand too much of you, So yeah, for a first time reader of his books, 4 star, probably. So I'm gonna give it a 3 star on Fable, but I'm not. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for me. So that's it for me today. I am gonna continue with my chores. Good afternoon. I have finally finished A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. So, what do I give this book? Let me talk about it first and I'll decide later. So, because I haven't even rated it on Fable yet or anything like that, I just finished it. So, at the basis of this book is a myth. So, this world is divided into northern and southern, and I think the southerners are called Lyrians and the northerners are called Argantians or Argantians. I can't really, as I have stated before, I'm not an audiobook person, so pronunciation sometimes just I just read the words, I don't say them, the weird ones. So, north and south, and in the southern part of the world or the country, they believe this myth. So the basis of the story is a myth, and the main character, the female main character, Effie, she believes the myth with all her heart, and the books that have been written about it, especially one, one of the books, but she is in the beginning of the book. She's also suffering from mental health issues. That is how it is presented, and she takes pills to stave off her visions and that sort of thing. And I talked about this in the beginning, that her fear also, because she has been through something at the university before the book starts, with like a faculty member forcing himself upon her, and that haunts her. So she has that to deal with as well, and her hypervigilance, her mental health issues, as well as her PTSD, basically, shows up in the book as anxiety. And as someone that can suffer from anxiety and hypervigilance and that sort of thing, it kind of triggered my own. So I have really read this book little by little. I've had so much to do as well, so I haven't really had time to read it all at once, even though I have been wanting to towards the end. So I have had so much to do. And there's been also so many disturbances with the renovations going on in the apartments, and I have tried to just marry everything I have to do with everything that's going on, and also reading, and trying not to feel pressured to read, as I talked about in the last vlog, and just read when I wanted to, and when I felt I had the capacity to deal with her anxiety. I think a combination of me centering myself and grounding myself, especially in the blueberry wood with my friend at the end of the last vlog, that together with her anxiety maybe letting up. Well, no, it didn't, but it was like there were turn of events in the book that made me not as triggered anymore. It kind of made me gain a distance to her anxiety, view it from outside instead of feeling it with her. But yeah, so at the basis of this book is this myth, and Effie, as I've told you before, she gets this opportunity to go to one of the authors, like the author of one of the biggest books about this myth, and help make blueprints of the house. The house is decaying, the river is kind of taking it, and the son in the house wants an architect to draw up new blueprints, and she's an architect student. When she gets there, she meets Preston, who ends up being kind of the male main character of this book, if you don't count the person in the myth, the fairy king. So I also said that I didn't really know how the romance was gonna develop, and how it could naturally. I have changed my mind on that. I'm not gonna talk too much about it, but I understand the romance now that I finished the book. I think the last 20% of the book were good. Like good all over, and the ending was good. I'm glad I read it. The ending was worth it, I would say. I could have DNF'd it, and it would have not taken any years of my life to miss it. But I'm kind of glad I read it. So I think I'm gonna give it at least maybe. I don't think I can give it more than 3 stars, because I did have so many issues, and the last 20% being overall good is not more than 3 stars. I think the one thing that even gives it 3 stars, in my opinion, is the writing style. I really fell in love with the writing style at the beginning of the book, and that is what kept me. And I have put tabs in the book, marking a lot of different quotes that I want to save somewhere. And that is really a testament to my love for the writing style and the language in this book. So yeah, so the story progresses, and they find out more about the house and the connection to the mythology. They find out more, they dig for more information about who actually wrote the book, because there's this discrepancy between the author being almost illiterate at the beginning, you know, from his background. He didn't go to school, or even college was not to think about, so his bordering illiteracy in early life, and then whoa, he wrote this masterpiece, you know. So Preston is there to really pick apart everything, and Effie helps him, even though she really loves the book and she doesn't want to be disappointed. But because she knows the book inside out, they work together on it, and she kind of starts off doing that because she wants him to be wrong. And then there's also like the book has its own timeline, which is AD, after drowning. So it's a study in drowning, and the drowning is a time, or was a time in this world where a big drowning, like a big flood almost, took a lot of lives and a lot of homes. And there's this myth of the second drowning on top of the myth with the Fairy King. And so those two are kind of at the center of this book, and everything is kind of centered around, is there gonna be a second drowning? And the myths tie together in a way that has to do with the south and the north of this world. It is a fantasy, a young adult fantasy, but it is very much, it's, you know, like our own world, just a bit different. I don't really know where to put it, like in our time, because there are things that they use that are like modern day stuff, and then there are things that they don't use from modern day. So it's, the author has like picked you know, what to include, and I kind of love that. The author has taken her liberty to just like, oh, but yeah, this fits, and yeah, I want this in this world, and this has a place, but this doesn't have a place. So it's kind of it's an interesting world to dive deeper into. So I think it's a me problem with the anxiety and that sort of stuff. But it's also something to know that if you have like problems with anxiety, if you are easily triggered in that way, then yeah, keep that in mind, that it feels it's very well described, so it can take a hold of you. It took until at least after like 60-70% of the book until I could read it at night. And I think that was more because of me, because I was more centered and grounded. I actually think that, because I feel way better now than when I started the book. Yeah, so with that, I'm gonna end this vlog, and here is where we are when it comes to days, books, and pages left after this vlog. So that's where we are. See you in the next one. We're getting closer now. We surely are getting closer, and I think the last vlog would probably be published when I'm no longer in my apartment. I will be with my friend visiting. And if there's background noises, they are tearing down stuff in our building today, like at the bottom 2 floors. They are clearing out some asbestos, actually. This building is old, to prepare for the big renovations. But overall, the day has been quieter than I anticipated, and I have also, I think, gotten used to some of the noises. So yeah, that's where we're at, and I will tell you what I read next in the next vlog. Xingling!